So it kind of all boils down to this, don't you think? How you get along with others. Because they have to get along with their classmates. They have to get along with you as a teacher. They have to get along with the volunteers and the principal. And they have to, in a weird way, get along with themselves. They need to manage themselves and their feelings and all the activities in their heads and all of that. So it kind of all boils down to this. And the point we're really going to focus on is that they make choices every day. By the way, we do too. How we choose to act as teachers and principals and volunteers, that's our choice as well. So we really want to teach our kids to understand I'm making choices every day, all day long. Okay, so this is the digging deeper a little bit. There's 5 basic human needs. Surviving, food, shelter, clothing, safety. Now, your kids don't always have that, do they? Yeah. Fun, believe it or not, we all have to have some fun. And when everybody's having fun, everybody wants to be a part of it. Choice, we need choices. And even little kids need to be able to make choices. So when I talk about having routine and schedules and boundaries, that doesn't mean they have no choice. It means you're giving them a structure that will help them make better choices. Control. We identify with this, right? How much of our lives doesn't feel like it's in our control? A lot. A lot. So we need to have some control in our lives. It's a basic human need. And then the sense of belonging or love. That's universal. That is not cultural. We need love. Denmark needs love. All of us need to feel like we belong. So, you guys are a crucial part of these kids' lives because those 5 things they may not get other than with you Monday through Friday from 6 to 6. You know that sometimes the only food they get is when they're at school, right? Yeah. Not all the children come from really hard homes. I'm not saying that, but a good amount do, right? So, how they are feeling at this point in their lives while they are developing, that affects their entire life for the rest of their life. That's how crucial you are. Most of who we are gets developed when we're that little. So, I'm just curious. What do you think is the most important one of the 5? Any guesses?
5.
Absolutely. 100%. That is our most basic human need. And you guys give that to them. You do. I see it. I don't have control, or I feel like I'm not loved, or I'm hungry. I might act out to try and get what I need. So, again, I'm not saying that punishment or consequences should never be used, but it's better to teach them the right things. It's better if you can show them a different way to get what they need. So our goal as teachers becomes, how do I help them make good choices? Well, it just made me think too, and sometimes it's not working because I'm the one that's tired. I'm the one that had a fight last night. Right? Yeah, and so if you're aware of that, why am I short-tempered today? I need to take care of myself. You know, your own self-care is important too. So I'm going to throw that out there. Again, the problem with punishment isn't so much that it's bad, but that it's only temporary. It only fixes the problem in the moment. And then they do it again 5 minutes later or the next day, right? Do you see that in your kids? So, and then I'm just going to add this because I know that 98% and maybe 100% of you also have a very deep faith, a very deep belief in God. And you guys talk about that in your classrooms, I know sometimes, or you read stories. And so or do you show God as the person of love? And how happy God is when we do the things that we do that are good things, you know, just even in that way, to be presenting the positive more than the negative. Does that make sense? So when you do these things in the it's good to do them in the classroom so that the students also are watching. Like you were mentioning earlier, they'll be like, oh, I want to do that. That got it, but you know. The other thing I've seen though is sometimes if you're talking about something that happened earlier, you're not in that moment, to take that child aside and talk to them rather than talk to them in front of the whole class, because we don't want them to feel ashamed or embarrassed. So we do have to be careful. But like I said, so you do address behaviors in the classroom when the behavior is in the classroom, so the other students know. But other more serious things, you know, pull the child aside. Here's the example. Something happened on the playground. And so when the class came back in, it was like, why were you doing that on the playground? You know, if it was something that happened at a different time,
don't discuss it
then pull them aside. If it happens in the classroom, yes, address it there. But what we're talking about is not just saying, stop that behavior. Number one, you ask them the question, is that what you're supposed to do? You know, we were talking at Sunshine about good touch and bad touch. Hugging, good touch, bad touch, smacking your friend, which happens all the time. So when I saw someone smacking another kid, did you say smacking? Hitting? Slapping?
Beating, all of,
Okay. I went over to them and I said, is that good touch or bad touch? And they're like, bad touch. Okay, are we supposed to do that? No. What should you do instead? And there was this one little boy, I think 3 times in a row I had to address him, but by the 3rd time he just went, good touch. And I went, got it. And I think the rest of the day he did pretty good. So it's not just saying stop that. It's asking them, is that what you're supposed to be doing? And I go, no. Or the other one I saw is, I'm just not even going to look at you. Okay, but you planted that seed. You chose to do something you're not supposed to do, which means you can choose to do the right thing. It has to be absolutely clear to your students that any physical violence is not an option. So one of the things, we're going to get into how to talk with students like that, but like you say very clearly, and we always say bend down, so you're eye to eye. Eye contact is very important. You may not do that here. You need to find a different way to show your anger, to show your hurt. But absolutely, clearly, that is not an option here. You have choices. That is not one of them. We do not do that here. You do have to be very, very firm about that because that physical safety is super important. Their feelings are okay. The anger, the rage, whatever it is they are dealing with, that is not the problem. The problem is how they express those feelings. So they need to be taught that that is not an option. I may not express my anger by being aggressive with someone else. One of the days that I was at the school, and we talked about the good touch bad, I was exhausted because your class, all morning, while I was having the talk with them about good and bad touch, I'm like, guys, this is what I'm talking about. Stop hitting each other so I can tell you not to hit each other. It was all morning. All I did was go from person to person and say, that is what we were talking about. That is not good touch. And it's exhausting. It absolutely is. These are ideas to work toward. And please, do not be in South Africa like we are in the United States. Because we started out, children were property. You could do whatever you wanted to them. They were beaten. They were, okay? Now what we have done is we have gone
The other way.
so far over here now that it's ridiculous. Oh, let's not, it's terrifying because now we have raised little domestic terrorists who run the world
And have
run
rights.
their family.
Yes.
I'm a therapist, and parents are surprised when they come to me and I say, that's bullshit. No, that's not the answer, because you know what happens is their kids go off to college, and I kid you not, they come home with nervous breakdowns. They can't even go to college. You know why? They have no idea how to manage their emotions, because mommy and daddy
Let me do whatever I want.
Don't feel any pain. Don't feel disappointed. Don't feel, and I put the child in a bubble, because when you have a little toddler who's going to run in the street and get hit by a car, do you think you can say,
Oh, my little baby.
no, you have to go, stop, or they're going to die. So I try to, so don't do that in this culture, what we did, because we went so dumb on the other way. You have to find the right balance. So I don't want you to think I am saying, let's try something besides yelling at them. Do you know what I'm saying? They need discipline. We're working on that sunshine. I tell them to come and they run. I'm like, what? They're in charge, not us. They need firm boundaries, So, and all the schools are at different levels with that. But I think it's a really good point. I am not saying be one of those. I can't stand that. It's created a disaster in the United States. So be firm, but keep thinking in your head. It's not just about stopping the bad behavior. It's about practicing the good behavior. That's the key to making a permanent difference.